people with the backwards attitude, pointing fingers, and that's a bad excuse for sitting on your ass when you complain. It's two things that you don't want to change. You ain't got no time for me, and I ain't got no sympathy for you.
People in Bristol in southwest England are divided over a plan to add a plaque to a statue that commemorates a 17th century merchant involved in the slave trade. Edward Colston is a prominent figure in the city's history for his philanthropy. However, much of his wealth was acquired through the Royal African Company, which was involved in the slave trade. Residents say people need to be made aware of Colston's past and are demanding a plaque mentioning his role in the slave trade, with many now also calling for the statue to be removed altogether. We spoke to racial equality campaigner Lee Jasper and Stephen Morris from the English Democrats.
Why have we got the statue of a man who sold over millions of Africans into bondage and slavery, ripped African babies from their mother's breast, separated families, killed, maimed and murdered millions of Africans, but he gave some money to charity, so we should have a statue of him in our town square.
We have to look at the full history of the slave trade, and this was going on for thousands of years before Europeans arrived, where Africans were enslaving Africans and selling them to the Arabs way before we got there. And it's actually quite unfair to judge the past by today's standards and today's morals. So for me, it's part of the history, but it really got to be showing the full history of what was going on at the time, and not just to be seen as an anti-European issue against the slave trade, when the slave trade was very predominant across the entire continent at that time. So for me, yeah, look at the history, but we've got to put it into context.
All right. Actually, the 50 million people is an academic number that can go on James Baldwin's side and find out that the historians of the time are all consensual around that figure. So I think you need to get your facts straight.
It all depends what the plaque's going to be saying, because you've got to put things into context of what was happening at the time. Now, your other guest has just gone on a complete and utter rant, and whatever point he was trying to put forward, and whatever argument he was trying to put forward has actually been lost in his actual rant. Now, your other guest has just
this man is a racist dog. Rant. That's what that plaque should be saying.
Whatever point he was trying to put forward, and if you're going to put a historic plaque there, then you have to make sure that you put it into context of what was happening around the world.
We shouldn't be imagining and celebrating Colston. It should be either a Bristol museum of shame, which he can go in, and all the other colonial aspects and relics of the past can go in. But either way, it should be contextualised as the most horrific period in Bristol's history.
You cannot judge historical events by today's standards. You have to look at what was going on at the time, and more blacks was enslaved by blacks than they were by the Europeans. So he needs to actually look and stop being very hypocritical.
Why? RT, why are you subjecting me to the most ignorant and base, racist rewrite of history?
Here we go.
By this man, this white man, this white man. He's got no idea.
Now he's making racist comments
African
himself.
Enslavement.
More blacks was enslaved by blacks than they were by the Europeans. So he needs to actually look and stop being very hypocritical.